Welcome back, everybody, to You've Been Joshed with Josh. I am your host, Josh. Episode 2. Yes, I will decide a name for episode 2 at the end of recording. I was about to be like, here's a title, but I was like, I don't even know what will happen during this recording, so I'll do that at the end. That's called professionalism, you know? Uh, thank you for everyone who listened to the first episode of the podcast. I'm very humbled at the response that I got back from it. There was a lot of feedback, and I really do appreciate it. I'm one to who loves criticism. I love criticism so very much. Constructive criticism, there's a huge difference there. Is there's either you just being a dick, or you being a dick as a friend. And a dick as a friend, that's always nice. Because who doesn't like getting verbally destroyed by a friend? Getting roasted by a friend, that just means you love each other. My best friend JP, his name is Josh as well, so we had to come up with the nickname JP. Otherwise, we both go, huh? When someone says Josh, huh? Uh, him and I tear into each other all the time. We rip each other apart verbally. He does something stupid, I'm like, dumbass, and he's like, hey, you fucking shut the fuck up. And it's because we love each other and we're at that level. It's like having a sibling, if you have a sibling, if anyone has a sibling, my sympathies, but also you understand. You guys, you just, you give them the shit, but it's because you love them, uh, Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked already. Wow, already 2 minutes in and we're fucking off topic. But thank you for everyone who listened to listen to the podcast. I do appreciate it. My hope, like I said, is just to get on here, record, talk about things that I write down during the week that I either find funny or I think about. I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that. That's super interesting to me. And kind of go from there. And if I have a guest on, which I'm planning to, it'll be more oriented towards them, just like my streams were, and kind of just get to know them. So I'm excited. I really, I was proud of myself. I was proud of myself for the first episode. I really felt good about it, and I have a lot of things to talk about now. I got a little list, a list of my hot takes. Yes, stacked up like pancakes in my browser. Yeah. Um, but no, last week I talked about some childhood stuff as well as some other things. Of course, if you haven't heard it, go give it a listen. And it really made me started thinking about like childhood stuff this past week, and I was like, oh man, I just thought about a lot of things that happened as a child, as well as just things that it was just normal when you're a kid. It's like, holy shit, like there's a lot there. There's a lot of things to talk about, and I was like, that's what I want to talk about. We're going to talk about childhood. Yes, we're going to talk about the hood of the child, the sweater, the hoodie that is on the child, as he rollerblades, baby. Yeah. But like when you're a kid, when you're a kid, there's so many things. There's so many things that you hear from either your parents, other people, other kids, your friends. That is just something that you hear and it sticks with you, and you think it's real, even though it's not, and you find that out way later in life, sometimes way longer, way later than you should have probably waited to hear that. Did that make sense? It made sense in my mind. Nah, I'm not making sense. But like it takes so long for you to find out that it's inaccurate that you're like, holy fuck, well, how did I make it this far? You know what I'm saying? Like milk. Okay, here's one for you. Milk is good for your bones. Got milk? You got milk. Like that whole thing. Oh my god, it was so common when I was a kid to just get a nice glass of milk and drink it. And I see the memes today because it's so accurate. And I didn't even think about this. Is like the people who drink a glass of milk when they're like in their 30s, they're a sociopath. I keep seeing that meme, but like I don't drink milk anymore. Solely because I'm lactose intolerant. So it fucks my insides up and I sit on the shitter for a year and a half. So I drink like oat milk, preferably. I'll have some almond coconut every once in a while, you know. But like when you were a kid, it was like if you want strong bones and you don't want to fucking like have your bones turn to dust, you better Johnny, you better drink your milk. You better drink your milk. You know, like that was the saying. You got to drink your milk, otherwise you don't have the calcium that you need to survive. Your bones, they'll be weak. They'll be cracking. They'll be glass, you know? Um and then you grow up and you're like, "Oh my god, you can get calcium from so many other things and you normally more than what milk gives you." And you're like, it's got to be like a selling point, right? Like it's got to be for milk. The whole got milk thing, definitely something that accrued from there. Like there's so many other businesses have done that over the years, right? Got to be. Or here's another one. Here's another one. This one really fucked me up as a kid. If you swallow your gum, it sits in your stomach for 7 years. Why 7? Why 7? Dude, do you know how many times do you know how many times that I had gum in my mouth and like we'd walk in somewhere and my parents would be like, "You can't have gum in your mouth, spit it out." But I didn't see any trash can and I didn't want to get in my hands because I'm a germaphobe. So I was like, I don't want to have the sticky stickies on my hands, you know? And so like, I don't see a trash can. And I was like, but I can't swallow it because if I swallow it, it's going to turn into a rock in my stomach and I'm going to have to poop that shit out. You know what I'm saying? It's going to attach to the side of my inner stomach lining. You know? But like then you grow up and you're like, no, that you just poop that out like that. You know, that doesn't even. Man, oh my god, we're not even 10 minutes in and we're talking about poop. Um, uh, but you like that was something I would hear all the time, and that really screwed me up as a kid. Like I remember there was a period of time that I just didn't eat gum and being afraid that I would have to swallow it in some instances. You know what I'm saying? And then whenever I saw like the gum underneath the desk or the gum in like a Subway or something like that, you'd be like, oh, they didn't want to swallow that. They're being smart. Like I understand there's no trash can nearby. It's littering, but like at least they're not having a rock in their stomach. You know, do you know what I'm saying? Oh my gosh. I was like so scared of that as a kid. Um, that was always like such a big fear of mine is to have this giant ball of gum in my stomach and then having to get like surgery to get it out because I couldn't get it out myself, you know. um what was the other one? Let me look at my list. Oh yeah, coffee stunting your growth. Who where did that come from? I remember at camp when I was a kid, they would have coffee for like the counselors and stuff, and if any kid would go up and get a cup of coffee in the morning for themselves, they'd be like, "Hey, kid, you don't want to stunt your growth. Don't drink that stuff. You don't want to stunt your growth, you know?" And or like if you had a friend who was short and like when we got to high school, they'd be like, "Oh, did you drink a lot of coffee when you were a kid?" And you're like, "Wait, why?" And it's like, "Oh, 'cause coffee stunts your growth." And it's like, "No, it doesn't." But the thing is, you don't know that until like later. You know, you don't think of you don't learn these things until later. It's just kind of like something that is said. It's not. It's like an unspoken lie. It's the most spoken lie. Well, yeah, it's the most spoken lie. It's not an unspoken lie. But it goes toe and toe with like the thinking that brown cows gave chocolate milk. I thought that for the longest time, even though it doesn't make fucking sense. You know, I'm embarrassed to say that it was like when I was like 10, 11 when I first realized that brown cows didn't give chocolate milk and that it was just fucking chocolate added to milk. Luckily, I didn't believe in pink cows solely because I didn't see any. You know what I'm saying? I was like, strawberry milk can't be from a cow. Like that doesn't make sense. Like, there's no pink cows. I've never seen a pink cow. But brown cows, I've seen those. I've seen those. So that's definitely where chocolate milk comes from. It's definitely where chocolate milk comes from. But I remember just like for the longest time. Excuse me, I took a drink of water. For the longest time, just like thinking that these things were truth, you know. And then you grow up and you're like, wait, this is inaccurate. I feel very stupid. But it's just one of those things that when you're a kid, you hear these things, and you're like, oh yeah, yeah, I don't know anything, so I'll take that for being the truth. 100%. 100%. Oh my gosh. Just the things just the things you do as a child. Just the things you do as a child. Man, being a kid was great, but also we were dumbasses. At least I was. I can't speak for everyone. That's not true. I can't speak for everyone, but I was a dumbass. I did some stupid shit when I was a kid. Not like nothing too detrimental. That sounds awful. Nothing too detrimental, just like like pranks and stuff. You get up to some weird shit when you're a kid cuz you're bored and you have nothing else to do. Um I grew up the mass majority of my childhood, that time that you remember from like when you're 6 to like the end of middle school, like that time frame. Um that's what I would call my childhood, cuz when as soon as high school starts, you have to start thinking about other shit. Like you're basically a young adult at that point. Childhood is over. You have things to worry about, school, and cuz elementary school, you go through that and you're like, "Oh, I'm done." Like it's easy peasy. No one remembers the homework from that period of time. I was homeschooled and I would get that shit done so quickly. And like I just don't even remember the things that I had to do for the homework and stuff, because it was just so simple. And like it goes by so quickly. But um that period of time when I was a child, 6 to middle school, I was in Gettysburg. That's what I was going to say. Holy shit. So sorry. Um I was in Gettysburg. That was where I grew up. That's where I remember most of my childhood. Is in there. In that town, the small little town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Until we moved away when I started high school. But that's where I had the Pharaoh incident. If you call back from episode 1, um, all of that stuff, like all of that happened in Gettysburg. Gettysburg holds a very dear place in my heart. Love it there. Such a nice place. Um, but yeah, like that town as a whole, like there's just so much that goes on there with like the tourism because of the Civil War battlefield, and like Gettysburg Address and all that stuff that they market and be like, hey, like guys, come check this out. This is history, which is awesome, and it's great history. All the stuff that they have there is really really cool. But one of the things that they have there, which always made me laugh, but are also really entertaining, so if you ever go do them, is the ghost tours. The ghost tours, oh my god, so great. So great. There's like 13 companies from the last time I checked. It was a while ago, but from the last time I checked, there was like 13 companies. And they give you like guided tours and tell you horror stories and whatnot. And going back to what I was saying of doing dumb stuff as a kid, oh my god, they would have these ghost tours every night. Every night they would have them. For most of the week, especially on the weekends, and because they would get tourists for the town all year round. And in the summer it was like really big. But everyone who lived in town were just normal people. They weren't like there to like check out the stuff. There was just something that was just around. And we were one of the town folk. We were one of the townies. But so we would see all these people coming around and see the ghost tours all the time, and we would get bored and we would want to mess with them. We want to mess with the ghost tours because why not? So I remember me and a few of my friends, we would get into I think it was just me and my one friend. This is only like a two-time occurrence. It wasn't something we would get up to all the time. I just want to preface that. We would get like squirt guns, like water guns, and we would go find a spot along their route that was dark, and we would hop into trees because there was trees along the walkways, and we would climb up into the trees and hide with our water guns. And then, as the ghost tour would come across with the lady or the man dressed in Victorian garb and a lantern lighting their way, they would walk by and be like, and this, to your left, to your left, you will see the house that at one point in time was haunted. And if you look in that window up there, you might see the face of a child that many have accounted they can see on Friday evenings at 3 a.m. Like that kind of stuff. But the funny part is, You would get the people who would just be there for the love and joy of the theatrics of it, and then there would be there people who would be there and be like, "Oh my god, it's real," and they'd be freaked out. And of course, like the ghost tour would play upon that. But we would hide up in the trees, and right when there was like a moment where they were taking time to just look around, we would squirt one of the people who were in the tour with the water gun, just you know, and and they would be like, "Oh my god, no! Jesus Christ, what? I found something on my neck." And of course, the ghost tour person would instantly just like delve into be like, "That was the touch of the boy. The boy has touched you. You are chosen." And the person would be freaked out. And then we would squirt the guide, and the guide would be like really freaked out because they don't understand what's happening, because it's not raining. So they'd be like, and they're like, "Let's move on." And then they would continue their trek into the great beyond. Um, but that was something we did a couple times because it was funny. Like we had nothing we were middle schoolers in a town full of people who would come in and then leave. Like it was a tourist town. There's a lot to do. Gettysburg, by the way, Gettysburg now, holy shit, they're an up and coming town. Holy fuck. They have rewritten everything. There's so many new shops, so many new small businesses, so many different things that they're adding to the town, and like, just a round of applause for Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Well done, well done. You are doing very well for yourself, and I'm proud of you, Josh Adams. I am proud. Josh Adams is proud of you. You remember me? Hey, Gettysburg, you remember me? Hey, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, friend. I'm proud of you. Holy shit. But no, it's just the things you get up to as a kid. Like we did the King of the Ghost tours. I remember also like in Gettysburg, something I would do, because I was homeschooled and I had a lot of time to myself. Um, I would always scrounge up change. I would always scrounge up change that I would find, when I would be walking to the library or whatnot, or at my parents, like in my house, like I would find change, and probably my parents, but like it was in the couch, so it's mine. Finders keepers. And I would scrounge a bit of change to finally get Chinese food, because it was like it's not something we get to do often is eat out. So like I would treasure those moments. And there was this Chinatown kitchen in Gettysburg. If you're listening, of course you're listening to this podcast. Of course you listen to it. If you're listening, I love you and I miss you, and I hope you're doing well, and I hope you still have that fried rice in the fried rice that you make, because it was chef's kiss, best fried rice I've ever had. Uh, but I would get the change. I would order something. I would get some, like, I think I would get like a fried rice and an egg roll. And they got to the point where they knew me so much they would give me free egg rolls, and I was just, it made me feel so special. But I would get the food. I would come back, and we lived right next to a church. And the church doors were always open. We knew the pastors. And like we knew them, so it wasn't like a huge deal. But the church doors were always open, and I didn't want to be in my house because it's my house. I'm there all the time. You know what I'm saying? But they had their Sunday school rooms unlocked upstairs, and so I would just go up. I would pull out their TV from their Sunday school. You know those big carts. You know those giant ass fucking carts with the giant plasma TV that you could just pull out, and the VHS player and stuff. Oh my god, those were S tier. But I would pull one of those out, and they have couches and stuff. Pop a little chair, pop on the couch. Hop on the couch, pull up a little coffee table, eat some fried rice with some egg rolls, and watch VeggieTales. Because you know what? As a middle schooler, not gonna be just gonna be honest with you. VeggieTales slaps hard. VeggieTales is awesome. Not gonna lie. Silly Songs with Larry, delicious. Beautiful writing. Makes me cry every time. Makes me cry every time. No, because they would always have VeggieTales, so I would just watch VeggieTales, and they would have some other movies too, ones that correlate with like a scripture or something like that, but it wasn't actually having to do with the Bible to, cater to the kids, the youth of today. You know what I'm saying? So I'd watch those. But that was just a memory. Like I would just go there and hang out. I would just chill in the church and watch movies and eat Chinese food because why not? You know, that's my childhood right there. Video games and rollerblading, and fucking ghost tour pranks and Chinese in the church. Chinese in the church. um. Oh God, what other things would what's on my list? I have to. I've been going. I've derailed so many times. This is such. I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you that soon and very soon. Uh, this podcast will be at the level of professionalism that you would hear from, like the minimalists or Joe Rogan or any of those people who are like top tier podcasters, but it's probably not. My brain is too scatterbrained to have that any sort of thing like that, and I derail like this too often to even try to edit these types of things. I just pull up Audacity and I hit record and I just go. that's I mean, it's basically a live stream but without visual. You're it's a live stream without visual. That's basically what you're getting. With an intro and outro that I edit in. That's the only thing I edit. But hopefully I'll get better. Anyway, moving on. The other thing I was going to talk about was the battlefields in Gettysburg. Goddamn. The battlefields in Gettysburg, they're not only just gorgeous plots of land that have significant meaning because of all the people who died. But they're gorgeous, like they're gorgeous. And they have like you can bike on it, you can rollerblade on it, like whatever you want. You can take the tours with the cars. You can get little like tricycle bikes to like tricycle bikes. They're motorized tricycles basically that you can pop in a thing and drive with like a guided tour through audio of all the spots and stuff. But as a kid and living there, like, God, I would just rollerblade. I fucking love rollerblading. I would rollerblade out onto these roads and it would go back and there would just be all like fields with cows. And they have these giant fucking rocks that are just everywhere. And the ones with like the moss on it, oh God, it's gorgeous. And I would just go out and I would sit out in the fucking woods and out in the fucking, benches that are out there. And it was so pretty. I would just go out there and I would like, as a kid, well, here's another thing. You hear about like meditation and stuff as a kid and you're like, how do you do that? Maybe that's just me, but I remember when I heard about meditation, I was just like, how does one meditate? Like, do you just sit and like, it's like my brain would always be moving. So I feel like I couldn't find peace or like rest. So like what I would do, because I thought I would, that was my own version of meditation, is I would go out there. There was this tree in one of the fields that if you go to at sunset, right when the sun's going down, the sun would be behind it, and the heat waves that you would see, like the distortion in your visual when you see heat waves coming off of things, when it was behind the tree would look like computer animation, basically. Like it would look like CGI. And it would just like, it would look so unrealistic, but real at the same time. It made me feel things. That sounds super fucking deep and weird. But no, like as a kid, I would just be like, that is a fucking gorgeous tree in the middle of a field. And like, I would just sit on the park bench that was there by the little tablet plaque thing they have about like what happened at that field and whatnot. And I would just sit there and think about life. And like, I just would be silent. It was just really weird. Man, that was sorry. Holy shit. That was weird. Super fucking deep. No, I would just sit there and relax. And it was just super interesting. By the way, does anyone else like narrate in their mind for themselves? Because that's something I do often, especially when I was a kid. I kind of stopped now because I realized how stupid it was, but it's funny to me now. You know how funny it would be if everyone just narrated everything they did? Like instead of talking, they just narrated. So you come up to someone, you're like, I ask you how you are. And they would respond, I respond, I am well. Like they talk about what they're doing. It's not like third person, but it's like narration. You walk him. I am walking through this doorway to go in to get a glass of water. I open said fridge. I grab glass, grab jug, pour. You just like, I would do that in my mind. Am I okay? I think I am. I like to think so. Um, holy shit. Um, that's so funny. Why is narration so funny? I don't know why it's so funny. You know what's funny? Oh my god. Here we go. Derail. That should be I should put that on my Discord. Derail. Derail. Is derailing again. Get him on the track. Come on, Josh. Stay with the program. Slapping ham. Yes, you heard me correctly. I don't know how this started for me. I don't know why. But it is a tradition now for me. And Joy knows this, my wife. She's fully well aware and just kind of like shrugs it off and chuckles to herself about it. But whenever I go into a grocery store now, this is just it's mandatory for me now because it's so funny and I don't know why, but I enjoy it so much. Is whenever I'm in a grocery store, I have to go through the produce section. I have to. And when you come down through that, like the little bunkers that are in the middle, like the little is that the right word for it? I worked at Walmart. How do I not know this? The little like the baskets on the floor that are refrigerated when you're going through like the deli aisle and stuff. They have those like giant hams that are cut in half. I have to slap it. The flat side, I have to. It's mandatory for me now. I don't know why. It's so fun. So fun. There's nothing there. It's the simple things. You know, you have to do the simple things in life. And for me, it's slapping a ham. I don't know why it's so appealing to myself. I don't know why it's so fucking funny, but it is. But don't do it now, of course. We have a pandemic. Please be safe. I haven't done it in a while because one, we got our groceries delivered for a while, but then also like I don't want to touch other people's food. Even though there's protective coating on it, still don't want to touch it. You know, germs are alive and well. And also thinking about the fact that like how much we learned about germs this past like year and a half, 2 years, you know? I just don't do it anymore. But if you ever have a ham, you buy one yourself, fucking go for it. Like, tell me, please tweet at me if you ever do it. Please tweet at me. I slapped a ham. That's going to be a new thing. For every episode, we're going to have something. This is going to be a separate thing. Okay. So like, if you watch this and you find it funny, if you watch this podcast and you find it funny, tweet at me, derail, derailed, just derailed. And if you ever slap a ham in the future and you enjoy it and you find it just as funny as I do, please tweet at me. I slapped a ham. Holy shit, would that make my day? Oh my god. I don't know why. I don't know how that started for me. I have no idea where it came from. I don't know why I started that, but just slapping a ham is so funny to me. Just that whole concept and sound, especially with the echo in like Walmart or a Martin's or a Giant or whatever food store you have. Holy shit, those fucking buildings are massive and they have no soundproofing. So when you slap something, you hear it echo across the entire building. Holy shit, that's funny. Just enjoy the simple things in life, guys. Enjoy the simple things in life. That's the most important thing. You know? Slap a ham. Slap a ham, you know? Please do. Speaking of like food in grocery stores and whatnot, something else that I thought about when I was this past week, because you know, just thinking of things to talk about. Something that I never realized, which was weird when I was a kid. Like we weren't like a wealthy family growing up, in no sorts. I was very blessed to have what I had. I'm much better off, and so are is my family now, comparable to back when I was a kid. And I thank my parents so much for what they were able to give me during that time. Now knowing what was going on at the time, of when I was a kid, like I don't know how they fucking did it. Fucking parents of the year. But we would go to the food pantry at the local like church, and get food because we couldn't afford like as much food as what I can now, and I'm blessed for that. But um as a kid, I didn't know what that meant at all. And so it was just like a monthly thing that we would go do, is like go to the food pantry and I'd be like, "Oh fuck yeah, we're going to the church. We're going to get snacks. They always have snacks at the church. Hell yeah. Who doesn't like church? They got snacks, you know? They got movies. They got a place for me to eat Chinese food, to watch VeggieTales." Dude, I'm such a comedian. Fucking callback to earlier in the episode. Look at me. Um um but holy shit, like I think it was like in high school that I realized that that was like not something that most people do. And I think it was because I went to my friend's house, and like they were like, "Oh shit, we're out of Pop Tarts or something." I was like, "Well, we could just, when's your parents going to the church? They normally have Pop Tarts." And they're like, "Church? Like, what do you mean?" And they're like, "We can just go to the grocery store and get some." And I was like, "Oh, well, oh." And then like I put the two and two together, and I was like, "Wait." Like I knew that like our family like had like issues with money, like just solely because of like life is fucking tough, adulting is hard, and like I like just life. But I just didn't put the two and two together, and I was just like, holy shit, like for this whole time I was just like, oh my god, fucking the church was just one of those things where it's just like, oh, they always have snacks, like hell yeah. It was just weird. It was just a weird thing to think about. um Moving on from that topic, YouTube habits. Oh my god. I'm like relatively new to Twitch and that whole realm of things. Um, I definitely like I definitely enjoy Twitch more than YouTube now. But growing up, YouTube was my platform. Like I always would go there to watch videos, and I still do. Until they banned me. Uh-huh. Um uh it was only until like a year and a half ago that I started watching Twitch, and then I made a Twitch and I started streaming. But YouTube was always my thing, and oh my god, the amount, like people talk about this all the time, but like the amount of like, if you just click on one video and you let it do the next suggested and it just keeps going, where you end up after like 3 hours is so weird, so weird. And like the algorithm they have to like give you more suggested videos is just so odd. Like mine are so tailored now that it's scary. Because what happens is now all of my recommended videos are just cooking videos and miniature sculptures, like people making miniatures of things, like a small little house with like people inside cooking, or like Fire Kitchen. Oh my god, Fire Kitchen also has a Twitch. Fucking amazing. Go check them out. Um, they just cook outside over fire, and like over a fire, and oh, the food looks so good. And I just binge watch that stuff all the time. I constantly do. I constantly will just I will constantly just go on now their Twitch, but also their YouTube, and just sit and watch them make food continuously, and with their giant Fire Kitchen knife, and just watch them make food. And I just sit there, I'm like, oh my god, what a job, you know? Can you imagine having a job where all you do is make videos of cooking really awesome food, and sometimes experimental food, over an open fire? Holy crap. That would be that would be such a cool job. Um, but no, I just watch those, and it's just interesting to me. It's just so interesting to me to like see that. Um, but yeah, no, if you guys have any weird like binge habits on YouTube or Twitch, or something that like is very obscure but you watch them all the time, please tweet at me. Tell me what you tell me what you watch that's really obscure. I'd love to know. Maybe I can find a new habit for myself. A new habit. but yeah, no, it's crazy. It's just such a funny thing. And holy shit, we've talked about a lot of things, and it's only been 35 minutes. Holy shit. Oh my god. Talked about so much stuff, and it's only been that short amount of time. Wow. Wow. Um, I don't plan to have any sponsors for this podcast. The only sponsor that I will have is myself. So you won't have any ads, at least for now. I mean, I'm not going to turn down an ad for something if it's something that I enjoy and I think you guys could get use out of, because then I'll get paid for promoting something I would promote anyway, if that makes sense. But for now, check me out on Twitch. selfless plug here. Check me out on Twitch. We get up to some crazy stuff. We play video games, play games with everybody. It'd be nice to interact with you guys live. And if you enjoyed the podcast, we get some crazy stuff on Twitch, for real. We have a lot of cool channel point redemptions and talk about a bunch of different things and just goof off, and it's a lot of fun. You can also follow me on my socials. It's in the description of the podcast. And if you really like the podcast, share it with your friends. It would mean the world to me. And I promise it'll be better before you know it. I'll be the most professional podcaster the world has ever seen, and they will be the ones who've been joshed, you know? And josh your friends. Like I said, share the podcast and josh them. You can be like, ha, you've been joshed, and you share the link. Make it a meme. But yeah, thank you for everyone who has been listening in and giving me feedback. I do appreciate the feedback and sending me your thoughts and if you liked it or not. I do appreciate it. And all the people who tweeted at me indulged the balls the last time, appreciate you. That was super funny. Super funny. And also something that I'm doing right now is if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask me or have any thoughts or ideas, please feel free to join the Discord and DM me personally, or you can tweet at me using the hashtag You've Been Joshed. Hashtag You've Been Joshed. So that way I can just easily find them, or you can just at me, either one. But yeah, if you have any questions for me for just about life or anything like that, please feel free to tweet them at me, and I will do my best to answer them all. But I will be having guests on soon, and it'll be nice to have somebody to talk to. And it'll be cool. I have a lot of plans for this podcast, but yeah, hell yeah. My childhood, dude. Childhood's crazy. And if you've made it to this point in your life, and you're an adult, or if you're still going through high school and stuff, like, power to you. You're gonna get there. Adulting is very hard, but it is well worth it for the people that you meet and the things you get to do. I never thought I'd be here. I thought I'd be going to college for business or musical theater, and now I'm doing streaming and making a podcast and just living my best life with my wife and my dog, and just fucking loving it. Didn't mean to go all sappy, but I'm just happy. Things are good. And I hope that this podcast, for my viewers on Twitch and the people who know me, is a little bit of an open book scenario for you guys to get to know me a little bit better. And the people who just found this podcast and are listening in, thank you for listening. And I hope you enjoyed the content. And it's nice to meet you unofficially. And thank you for listening. I do appreciate it. Yeah, tweet at me questions, tweet at me derailed. And I will see you guys next week. I hope you did enjoy it. Thank you all again so very much. And I will see you all in the next one. Yeah. All right. Peace.